My inspiration for getting involved in the anti-bully program came from a mom who brought her child to me to start training in mixed martial arts training. Her son was being bullied, and he was being bullied by a lot of his friends who were, well, I wouldn't call them friends. The bullying had gotten so bad, they were picking on him so bad that they actually decided to jump him one time in the locker room. And they jumped him, they filmed it. And they filmed it and put it up on YouTube. Now, we know this could be just, a horrible impact on a child, on his mentality. His grades started going down. He got to the point to where he was skipping class. He got to the point to where he was skipping school. I mean, this was just the major embarrassment that could happen to someone, to a child or even an adult. So when she brought her child here, we started training. The first thing we started doing was building his confidence back up. She had voiced to me that she had spent thousands of dollars on counselors, thousands of dollars on therapy, and it was getting to the point to where he seemed to even start becoming suicidal. So they were really, really worried about him. And the training that we put him through boosted his confidence up so much that he's now back on the path. He's in college. He's going on to become a doctor. And that's what inspired me and made me start to think of how important it was for us to start some kind of anti-bully program that was making a direct attack, not on the bullies, and not creating just a program directly for the victims, but an attack on the behavior. And this is what inspired me to create Andre's Modern Defense. In this great country of freedom, one of the most treasured items that we have is to stand up for ourselves. We always have to have the desire and the ability to stand up for ourselves if we're being oppressed by another country and even by our own countrymen. This is a big problem with the bullying issue, because the bullying issue is so intricate and complex that it's hard to tell a kid to stand up for themselves when they're being bullied, because it can escalate the situation into a worse problem. So when I designed Andre's Modern Defense, I didn't just design it with the needs and desires of just the child in mind. I designed it with the needs and desires of school administrators, law enforcement, of the parents, and of the child. Everybody's needs in mind. We know that number one, the child's going to need something that most importantly, is going to work. There's a lot of self-defense techniques, there's a lot of martial art techniques out there that may not work. It may work in theory, it may work against someone who really is not resisting or trying to attack and hurt you. But for our kids today, this dealing with bullies, when it gets to an extreme situation, they're going to need something that works. When I designed Andre's Modern Defense, I kept in mind that school administrators could not tell kids to fight back, because if they tell a kid to fight back and that kid fights back and causes serious harm on that other kid, that school administrator is going to be held liable. So now you got a legal problem. So I understand where they're coming from as a principal, as a teacher, to have zero tolerance policy where, look, anybody gets into a fight, everybody's getting suspended, because there is no martial art form, there is no defense form that can allow a kid to defend himself without causing harm on someone else. So when I designed Andre's Modern Defense, I kept this in mind. I also kept the law in mind. This is a very, very big issue also, because if another kid hurts another kid in a bullying situation, no matter who started or who the bully is, you get law enforcement involved, because this parent may want to sue this parent. This parent may get upset because of what this kid did to this kid, even though this kid was the bully, and they come after the other parents or come after the child. So what we're doing here is keeping the objective in mind, that it is our job to neutralize this whole situation of what bullying behavior causes and keep it from escalating into all these different problems. And when I designed Andre's Modern Defense, I had to make sure that I had the interests of the child in mind, the interests of school administrators, principals, and teachers, and the interests of law enforcement. And that's what Andre's Modern Defense is here to give a sensible solution to everyone, so we can stand by who we are, what we are supposed to be as a country that's proud to be able to stand up for and defend themselves. And we have to remember that this idea of being able to stand up and defend ourselves has to be offered to our children also. We can't put our children in a position where they don't have the right to protect themselves in the proper manner when needed. Whenever we bring up the subject of teaching anyone to defend themselves against someone else, the number one thing we have to keep in mind is, number one, who are they defending themselves against? As far as a child defending or protecting himself against another child, that makes it a very sensitive issue. We have to understand that most self-defense comes from martial arts or boxing or wrestling, wherever it is, all right? The martial arts, if we're going to use it as a defense form, has to be understood of why it was created. So if we're going to train kids in martial arts, we got to think about who they're using it against, another child. And this is what brings the zero tolerance policy of why schools don't want kids fighting back. Because what are they going to use to fight back? You know, a kid pushes another kid in a bullying situation, the other kid jumps up and hits him with a flying elbow. They learned the other day in a martial art classroom, this kid gets brain damage. Now you have a serious problem. So when I was thinking about we're teaching kids to defend themselves, I thought about who would they defend themselves against. So when I created Andre's Modern Defense, I assured myself to make sure that this program, this style that I was creating, fit the needs of youth today. That number one, it has to be something that's effective, that can work. And these techniques that I use have been tested in the ring, in the professional ring, in the professional cage, and by police officers, by professional bodyguards. These are the techniques that they use against aggressive people every day in an aggressive situation. So I had to keep that in mind, and I had to make sure that, number two, that these kids aren't hurting the person that they're going against, because this is another child. So the techniques are restraining techniques, the techniques are defense techniques that they can count on and they can use to get control of this child. And that's what Andre's Modern Defense is here to do.
3:59 in the first round with a body shot, Jermaine Andre!
You have to understand something. This is to the youth, that bullies will always exist. Bullying behavior will always exist, and it can exist in any of us, in all of us. We all can display this behavior at different moments. So you don't have to feel ashamed if you are being bullied. There are a lot of people out there who have been bullied before, who are great people today. You know, I've had situations in my childhood where I was bullied, but the most important fact was how I responded to it. I kept my confidence. I believed in myself. You have to know that when someone is bullying you, that they're the problem. It's not you. And let me make it very, very, very clear, because I know this is a big thing about being a snitch or being a rat. Because you tell on someone who's bullying you, you have to think of, number one, why are you in school? Why do you go to school? You go to school to learn. You don't go to school to fight, okay? People who come to school to fight are acting like immature cavemen. You know, we're human beings, we're sophisticated creatures now, and we have to be educated so we can further in life. That's why you go to school. So when a bully decides to bring caveman behavior towards you and interrupt the reason you're in school, it is not snitching or ratting for you or being a coward for you to go and inform an authority to stop that behavior. And so you can continue on your path of learning, which is the reason that you're at school. If you go into school to fight, and this is someone who is displaying bully behavior, if you are going to school to fight, then maybe you need to go sign up at a MMA school or somewhere where you can start getting that kind of attention and start fighting. But the local public school, the private school, the religious school, wherever it is you're going to school, the whole reason is not to go and fight. But more importantly than that, you as a child, even us as adults, we cannot allow bullies to lead our lives. When you experience situations with bullies, you have to keep your confidence. You have to not be afraid to make the report to an authority, an adult that you trust, so that this type of caveman activity can stop, so you can continue on your positive path. To the adults, it is very important for us to tackle this feat about the bullying behavior immediately. This can become a serious problem. It already is a serious problem. Kids are taking drastic measures to evade bullying. all the way from, the grades being lowered because they cannot focus or concentrate in school because they're intimidated. Some of them are even skipping school. Some kids are turning to drugs and alcohol. Some kids even become bullies so they don't have to be the victim. It's getting so bad where either you're on the bully team or you're on the victim team. And sadly enough to say, some children have even committed suicide. A lot of them. You saw the statistics that we rolled on the video. That is horrible. And the only ones who can stand up and do something about this is us first as adults. We have to lead the way. These children should not feel as if they have nowhere to go to get these situations taken care of so they can continue to grow into positive human beings. We're allowing this bully behavior to take over our world, because what's going to happen is all of these kids who could be good kids are going to have to become bullies so that they don't become the victim. So as parents, as adults, as teachers, as police officers, it's time for us to unite and attack not the bully, not the victim, and not even to point out the bully or point out the victim, but attack the behavior and get everyone to understand this behavior, understand when they're displaying this behavior and how to get it under control, how to be accepting of each other, how to be tolerant of each other's differences, and how to not make fun of others because of their misfortunes, how to understand that we all have misfortunes. And that's just the things that make us different, the things that make us special. But this is a big, big situation where we as adults have to do something now. I'm not talking tomorrow, I'm not talking next week, I'm not talking today, because the kid who you're ignoring, who's getting bullied, one or two things is going to happen. Either they're going to end up hurting themselves drastically when you could have stepped in and did something about it, or they're going to end up turning to one of those people that the police are looking for and trying to lock down, who may be coming in to rob you or invade your home. That's the situation that this bullying can turn into if we don't seize control of it now. When the bully places his behavior or her behavior upon his target, what he's looking for is a reaction, a certain type of reaction. This certain type of reaction gives them comfort in their own personal insecurities. Because when a person is bullying, they're an insecure person, and a lot of times they're bullying because they've been bullied, or they're bullying because they think they're being comical, they think they're being positive. A lot of times they don't even know that they're bullying, but they look for this reaction in the victim or the target that they choose. If you don't give them the reaction that they're looking for, then a lot of times they'll fade away. That's where the self-control, the confidence comes in. You have to have confidence. You have to participate in sporting activities. You have to participate in school activities, church activities, whatever it is that helps you believe in yourself, so that when a bully does choose you as a target, which, believe me, everybody is going to experience some type of bullying in their life, you've got the confidence that whatever he says or does to you, it bounces off. And they don't get that reaction that they want, that's going to fuel them and help them to want to keep going and put more pressure on you. Confidence is key. That's number one when it comes to defeating the bullies.